Good morning to Gera, a lawyer from Turkey, a Turkish lawyer that is nowadays in Vienna. She lives in Vienna, and she will describe us today the situation of the legal profession in Turkey. So, good morning, Gera.
Good morning.
And good morning to Valentina Alberta, a member of the Criminal Lawyer Association of Milan. Good morning, Valentina.
Good morning, and thank you for inviting me here. I'm really glad to be here with our Turkish colleague.
So, Gera, who are you? Why are you in Vienna? And can you describe us shortly your story?
I'm Ceren Uysal. I'm a lawyer from Turkey. I have been a lawyer for 13 years. Honestly, my proficiency is labor law, but I'm involved in criminal cases that are mostly related to the political issues for years. And since 2014, I'm an executive board member of Progressive Lawyers Association in Turkey. And I'm representing my association in several international legal associations, including ELDH, International Democratic Lawyers Association, and European Democratic Lawyers. I am in Vienna because I decided to leave the country after the announcement of state of emergency, because I thought that even if the background of state of emergency announced by differently, like focusing on the Gülenist organizations, I had enough background knowledge that in Turkey, in these kind of situations, mainly the government will start attacking to the progressive lawyers. So I thought this might affect my freedom, or this might affect my, freedom to travel. Like sometimes people can find it something a little bit unimportant, but it is not, like just feeling that you will stuck in a country. And then I had some opportunities. I was lucky because I had the chance to work as a researcher because of my academic background, etc. So I decided to leave the country, and I left country immediately without any plans. And then I got a position here as a guest researcher at the Ludwig Boltzmann Institute of Human Rights, and came to Vienna. So it was not a plan. I decided it, I guess, in 12 hours, and I left the country immediately. And in last 4 years, I never traveled back. But as I told, that I was lucky, kind of, if you compare my situation with the lawyers who decided to stay or who couldn't leave the country, or who didn't have the same chances, who has families that they had to deal with or support, etc. So I'm quite lucky. I'm in Vienna, and
So, Gera, why do you consider yourself lucky? And reading the legal profession situation in your country through the death of Ebru Timtik, can you tell us what is the general situation for the lawyers in your country, telling us what you are hearing from your colleagues in Turkey?
So whenever someone asks me this question, I always start to tell something which doesn't have any connection with the state of emergency, etc. Like, people should know that Turkey never had an independent judiciary, or in Turkey, the lawyers never felt secure if they are working in cases that are related with the torture, or that are related with the Kurdish people's rights, or that are related to human rights issues. So we always had this issue. During the 19th, many lawyers were kidnapped by off the record citate authorities, even tortured, and also there were some lawyers who were shot to death. So in my generation, everything started together with 2011. A group of lawyers who were representing Abdullah Öcalan, they were arrested, and this was just a simple violation of everything we know about the legal proficiency, including the Havana principles. And after that, 2013, this is the time for my association that we engage with the international legal community that I accept as a great opportunity for us to explain ourselves to our colleagues and also to start working together for the fundamental rights. Like, yeah, again, 2013, another massive attack occurred against my association, and nine of our members were arrested, including our president in those times, and one of them was Ebru Timtik again. And Ebru was for 15 months in jail during these periods. And it never stopped after that. You know, many people know that the president of Diyarbakir Bar Association, Tahir Elchi, was shot to death, and the investigation is still going on. There is still no one accused related to his murder. So this was always like that. We were arrested in courthouses. We were arrested when we were in like under the occasion of supporting some families of the victims of a work accident, so called. So you know, we always said this: we were tortured, etc., etc. And it's really very difficult to define. Nowadays it is easier, but in the past it was really difficult. Sometimes our colleagues from different countries, they were questioning, for instance, our way to practice our proficiency. They sometimes found us very aggressive, kind of, you know, in close circles. And we were always trying to explain something like that. You know, sometimes we have to deal with police when we just want to submit a petition to the prosecution office. Sometimes when we are there as lawyers with a petition, with a paper, and we have to first convince the police to enter that room that we will need to submit that document. Or sometimes when we hear the screams of our clients in a police station, and when we are sure that they are the subject of a torture, we couldn't enter from this room, even if it was our rights. We were beaten by police, etc. So we always need to focus on two different things. Like, one is being a good lawyer, because this is the only way to protect the rights of your clients. But the other part is we have to find a way to pass from this police barricade to submit that petition that we worked on for hours and hours. And you know, this is very contradictional. So because of this, it has never been an easy proficiency in Turkey, like many other proficiencies. And today is kind of the top of it, you know, because now Turkey just ignores any kind of principles related to the proficiency, and start to define in last 4, 5, 6 years, start to define every kind of act against the government policies, or an act which is just criticizing it, or a legal act which prevents the government to do something, for instance, to ban a street for the people, etc. Any kind of act like that I counted, these are defined not under the Act of Anti-Terrorism, but these are defined as terrorist acts. So, you know, hundreds of people, thousands of people, maybe I don't know, like 100,000 of people, we are now defined as terrorist people. Without, you know, in entire life, like in all my life, I never saw a gun. You know, I never saw a gun. I never dreamed of it. Many lawyers, you know, we just, but now we are accepted as terrorists because we just criticize the government, and we don't accept what they are trying to do, what they are doing, what they have been doing in this country, and inside the region and all over the world. And so this is the simple explanation, I guess.
This situation, Valentina, is a sign of the fact that democracy in Turkey, maybe we can say, has disappeared, and it left its place to a real dictatorship. But in Italy and in all the Western world, this situation, the situation of the persecution of lawyers in Turkey, has a better treatment by the media. The echo of the persecution of the lawyers in Turkey has been spread just in the legal profession. The lawyers in Italy are aware of what is happening in Turkey to their colleagues, but our media, our journal, our news don't pay attention to this fact. So I ask you, what will the Bar Association, Criminal Lawyer Association of Milan will do to enlighten this situation on the next Monday and on the next days and months? And what do you think is the attitude of the Western world toward the Turkey regime? And what should it be?
Yes, so first of all, I need to say that, Michele, Gera, I got goosebumps listening to the story of Gera, talking about the fact that lawyers need to stay there in a police station listening for their clients screaming while having been tortured without not having the possibility to do anything except for trying to do their profession. And that's the point, in my opinion. I mean, this persecution is against lawyers acting as lawyers. That's something that makes me feel really hurted. And the thing is that the death of our colleague Ebru Timtik was a very strong bell in these days, making us going back to the Turkey situation. We've read something, but as you said, not on the mainstream medias, only on some newspapers. In July, when we read that the Professional Bar Association in Turkey were going to be substituted by new organization organized by the government, which was something that already sounded really alarming. And we reminded in July that it was 4 years before, in July 2016, that we had we were in front of the Turkish consulate in Milan. We lawyers and judges, Milanese judges, because of what was going on to all professional in the Turkish judiciary system at that time. So 4 years later, we read that the bar associations are going to be substituted by the government. That sounded really crazy. But the death of Ebru was really a strong signal. You said that the most important newspaper didn't really give. Some of them wrote something about this fact, and what we as lawyers, as people engaged in the human rights field, what we want is that this space on the media gets bigger. Just one thing about the past. It was really interesting to hear from Gera the story starting from the 90s. What I will never forget is the images of 2013. Camera Penale di Roma, the Bar Association in Rome, showed to all the Bar Association in Italy in a big meeting that year, the images of the police running into the court hall in Istanbul, arresting lawyers while they were still wearing their gowns, and it was really shocking. So that is just to say that we, as Italian criminal lawyers, we are very engaged in this thing. What I also really would like to point out is that we are really aware of what happens or what happened there in these trials, because a lot of international associations were there as international observer. So they saw how the trials are being handled by the court in Istanbul with witnesses that have no identity, with witnesses where you cannot ask questions and the judge does not leave the lawyers do their job in cross-examining the witnesses. We've read that there has been no final arguments by the defense attorneys in those trials. So you cannot defend yourself. That's not a defense. That's not a due process of law. That's not a fair trial. So basically, sorry, I got very engaged and emotional about this story because it's really big. We want to do something. We as lawyers at the Bar Association in Milan all together, and the Criminal Bar Association, we decided to recall what happened to Ebru on Monday morning at the starting of every hearing. The Judges Association of Milan already issued a communicate, and they said they totally agree with us. So at the beginning of every hearing on Monday morning, a document will be read. We will remember what happened to Ebru and what's going on in Turkey with regard to the situation of the lawyers there persecuted just to do their job. At 11:45, there is going to be a meeting point in front of the court in Milano. We are going to wear our gowns and we are going to try to put this issue also outside of the courtroom, because we want the people that are not aware of this situation to know about it, to know that to be a lawyer can be a very dangerous job, for sure in your country, in a very high level situation, in a very dangerous situation. In Italy, in all the, let's say, Western democracy, if we can say so, we read every day about situations where lawyers, in a different level, of course, but lawyers are identified with their clients, and they are also, how can I say, they get. They are exposed on the media, social medias, especially just as co-conspirator of their clients. Like, to be a lawyer is to be a criminal. So we need to react, make people aware of this point. There is one last thing that I would like to say, and maybe Gera, you can share with us, if Michele agrees, what you think about it. We've read that the European Court of Human Rights President, Robert Spano, was in Turkey in the last days. And there is two different point of views about his visit there. I mean, someone said, okay, it's not that good to go to Istanbul in this moment, where the European Court of Human Rights just said no to an Article 39 procedure regarding Ebru. It was really hard to understand, but anyway, someone else said, especially after having read the speech of Judge Spano that he held in front of the Turkish authorities, someone said, no, it's not true. The European Court of Human Rights has to go there, has to make hear its voice through the president. Also because there are many very hard judgments about Turkey issued by the European Court of Human Rights. Turkey is a part of the European Convention of Human Rights. So I tend to think that probably it's a good way to push on politics to make things change. But I'm not so sure about this. So what do you think about the visit of Spano there? I would be curious to know about it.
It would be my next question. So please,
okay. Sorry.
It's very difficult to make comment about it because I'm one of the lawyers who work with this interim measure application. This is one of the reasons. And the second reason is, unfortunately, the practice of the court in last 4 years. We have thousands of judges who were dismissed and arrested after the state of emergency. And unfortunately, we still do not have one single decision from the court for years. And there are a lot of reports about the like whether these governmental degrees that dismiss these people are valid according to the regulations, according to the constitution of Turkey or not. It's not a complicated legal question. Even a graduate law student can answer this question. So this is one reason that I cannot be very neutral about this question. The second one is mostly about the curfew that we had before the state of emergency. I think especially your association knows the situation very well because we organized a fact-finding mission and your association was there together with us. I remember that Ezio Menzione and Nicole Canestrini were together with me and they published reports, etc. And many people lost their lives under this curfew that has no legal background. According to the Turkish law, you cannot announce curfew. This is the legal question. And there were people who applied to the court when they were hiding in a floor of an apartment and under the armed conflict, and they were dying, and the court didn't hear their voices. So as a lawyer and as a person who lived in Turkey, who is a witness of all those pain and suffering, but I'm not talking I'm not talking like my mother. I'm not just talking about pain and suffer. I'm talking about the legal part also. There is the pain, there is the suffer. This is my subjective part, but as a lawyer, objectively, these were clear violations. This was not a discussion. So we had all these, and then they decided our interim measure application after the death of Ebru. After the death of Ebru, and they claimed that for iTouch that there's no real and immediate risk. I don't remember the technical term, but how can you say that? Three days ago, a lawyer passed away just for demanding fair trial, and you're calling it as not a real risk. So as a lawyer, I cannot understand it. And now I'm questioning, why do we have this Article 39 if we will never apply this? And I understand that the court has a perspective about the hunger strikes for years. But today we were discussing on COVID situation. We were discussing about an hospital that has to accept COVID patients, COVID cases. And you are talking about, and we are talking about a person who is on hunger strike for 7 months. The immune system is not working at all, and you just say that there is not a real risk for this person to stay in a hospital that is accepting COVID cases. So as a legally or as a friend of iTouch, etc., I cannot accept it. So the last comments, I think it's a bit long, but I'm also very angry because coming to Turkey and making a speech that might be accepted enough in a country that has an independent judiciary system, but for Turkey, saying nothing, this country, this state didn't apply your decisions, didn't make any critics, and then accepting a honorable PhD from the state university that dismissed a lot of academics 3 years ago, in 3 years, and also not letting the press to take your pictures, take your photos. These are the practices that fits with the political situation in Turkey. So I am very angry as a lawyer who has to deal with European Court of Human Rights many times, and in the future it will be. I am very angry, emotionally angry as a lawyer. Angry, Okay, you go there. Maybe you scheduled it months ago, but why do you accept this position, this status, this title from a state university that dismissed a lot of qualified, perfect academics without a justification? And you didn't make decision about those professors' cases. One of them is a very good friend of mine, also a lawyer and my client. She has two different applications before the court, and it's waiting for 3.5 months. She cannot go back to Turkey because her passport was cancelled and she's stuck in Germany. She was lucky she was there just for a conference together with her child, luckily, and she never could go back to Turkey after that time. And her case is still pending before the court for years. So, can't you accept this title from the university who dismissed her? And many others. So I think this was scandalous. And this is the reason why the European lawyers, we all have to unite, because this shows that the mechanisms to protect the human rights have some problems now.
Yes.
This is the sign of this. Yeah.
Valentina, pandemic is changing our trial in Italy, is changing it in a way that lawyers are criticizing in a very, very impressive way. Can you describe to Gera in which way our trial is changing? I mean that in the criminal trial, now witnesses are not in the courtyard with the lawyer anymore, and lawyers are putting light on the fact that trial is becoming a paper trial, okay? A paper trial. Processo cartolare is the word in Italian. Can you describe it to Gera? And Gera, once that Valentina described this kind of change to you, can you tell us what are the menaces that our justice is facing with this kind of change in our trial? Please, Valentina.
Yes, Michele. So it's hard at the moment to focus on this topic because things are changing very, very quickly. At the very beginning of the pandemic, due to this very particular situation, there has been new regulation about the hearings. So everything has been going on for some months in remote. So that was the way to celebrate trials, even though thanks to a battle that also the Criminal Lawyers Associations took, this regulation didn't include all the trials, and especially I'm talking just about the criminal trials. I'm not really an expert about the civil trials, where I know that the thing is going on and it's becoming really a processo cartolare, so everything is happening through documents. But in the criminal trial, it sounds really out of the principle of the due process of law to use this kind of procedure. I have to say that in Italy, we have a problem, and I think not only in Italy, because also the European Court had the possibility to say things about this, has a problem with the participation of the defendant in his trial. Already before the pandemic, we had the regulations about the so-said partecipazione a distanza, which is the remote participation of the defendant in its trial, that is becoming broader and broader. So the cases where, without having to prove any particular situation of danger of national security or whatever, the situations where the defendant needs to remain in jail and be connected only through video link to its trial are really becoming a lot. So what I think, and the participation through video link to the trial is going to go ahead in the next months, even if we have a sort of consent that has to be given, but we will see. So I think that the judge that doesn't see in its eyes the defendant before deciding about the fact that he or she is guilty or not, and the sentencing is something that is completely unfair. I mean, can you imagine to celebrate? I mean, I'm talking about people that maybe are not familiar with this, but to celebrate a trial in the way we are talking now among the three of us is not celebrating a trial, in my opinion. So I think that leaving aside the emergency and what probably has been done in that limited amount of time at the very beginning doesn't justify such a procedure, makes the trial a show and not a trial. So that's my point about this. I hope I answered to your question, Michele.
And Gerard, what do you think about this? What do you think about this? About these things that we have been told just now by Valentina. It's a dangerous. It's a starting point that could lead to a situation similar to the one in Turkish. I'm talking in a very extreme way, but you know that there's someone who says, I mean Milton Friedman, who says that to introduce a very big change in a people, in a population, in a country, the best way is to do it quick, in 5-6 months. These things that Valentina told us is happening very, very fast. And it's happening in the last 5-6 months, even the pandemic, I mean. So, what is the risk that our justice is facing, Gerard?
First of all, this is very familiar for us because in Turkey for some years the judiciary system is like, you know, the authorities want the judiciary system to be engaged with the video conference system. And I just again want to remember Ebru here, because when they announced their hunger strike together with iTouch, within their demands, one of them was to stop using this video conference system, because this is clearly against any kind of criminal principles. The defendant has no right to understand the atmosphere within a trial, no chance to discuss with the witness face by face. No, doesn't have a chance sometimes to ask the lawyer, the defense lawyer, the opinion, etc. So, you know, this is dangerous. This is completely dangerous, not just for Italy, but for all of us. But the pandemic is also dangerous, because I believe that unfortunately now the situation that we are dealing with is used by many states as an instrumentalist. You know, this is just an instrument to transform the policies, including the legal system, according to the needs of the market, or, you know, we can just call this simply as a way of the as a way of the neoliberal transformation of the judiciary system. It will be worse, like, if we cannot resist against this, because now, unfortunately, the systems understood in 3-4 months, understood that, yes, there is a way to go on, you know, with the Skype systems or some state softwares, we can go on having some trials, and we can organize real trials only when it is that much necessary. So it is cheap, you know, cheaper than the other one, because we will not need this room and that, etc. So So it's completely dangerous, but I believe that if we can take a position all together, all over the Europe, at least we can, like, first we can postpone it, and then in the future, if we can be stronger, we can just prevent this transformation. But it's really very dangerous for the defenders and for the right of defense.
So thank you to Gera, lawyer from Turkey, now living in Vienna, and we want to keep in touch with you, with the Criminal Bar Association of Milan, and to thank you to Valentina Alberta, member of the Criminal Bar Association of Milan. I hope we can keep us in touch. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Valentina, thank you.
I say thank you, Jerry. It was really an honor to...
Yeah, it's an honor to me. So, Michaela, before finishing, I really want to tell that we are really very glad to all the Italian lawyers in this process during the campaigning for Ebru and iTouch. Your support and your solidarity was amazing. You know, in just one signature petition, we organized one campaign. We got more than 300 signatures from Italy, from the lawyers, you know, and it was amazing. It, like, you know, we felt like that, okay, Italian colleagues, they understood what we are trying to do. They understood what we are facing with, and it was very significant. And be sure that Ebru was informed about it. She knew it. We, like, every day she was informed about it. So thank you very much for everything that you have done all together. Yeah.
Thank you, Jerry. We are going to go on really hard to be on your side facing this very hard moment.
Thank you.
Okay. Goodbye to you both.
Bye.
Goodbye. Ciao.